Hello, everyone. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching the Marvelous Mrs Maisel, Season 4, Episode 7, Ethan, Esther, Chaim.
Really gotta get it back here. Chaim.
Okay, let's start with Joel.
Okay.
All right. Joel, first of all, gives a bag of money to Archie, and it is immediately stolen.
He really did just, like, had it. He was just angled just so that motorcyclist could come right up and just yoink,
like,
right out of his
take
hand.
out from juniors is what what Joel compared it to. So that's first. So he and Miriam meet at that diner that they meet at all the time to, like, you know, it's gonna be tight for him to, like, give her money this month. But she's sort of whatever with that. But then he tells her that May is pregnant. First of all, he hasn't seen May since she went out of town. Regardless, Midge is very clearly like, well, what's your plan? What are you going to do? You're going to get married? You're going to do this? You know, that's, you know, she's going to be stepmother to my kids. Like, there's like a host of issues. And he's like, I don't know.
Well, and she's like, I don't know anything about this girl. Do you know anything about her? And, like, he really doesn't.
No. He barely even knows how she spells her last name.
Yeah.
And then he reacts poorly to her questions.
Because he's a man, so of course he does. Stop being a baby about it. You were in this situation, own the fuck up, and handle it.
Also, I might have waited to tell people until she came back from her residency interview, because that was the other thing. Midge was like, well, are you moving away? What if she gets a job somewhere else? Do you move with her? What about the kids? Like, all of this sort of stuff. And he was like, no, I've got the club. Of course not. And she's like, does May know that? Like, what's going on here? So I love that Midge is being an advocate for May.
Yeah.
Essentially, which is great, because they only sort of like each other.
Well, Midge even says, the only thing I know about this girl is that her name is May and that she's going to be a doctor.
Right.
So, I mean, it's completely fair. But it's, like you said, it's really, really great that she's still trying to, like, stick up for May.
100%. Again, the reason why I think he should have waited until maybe May came back is because I'm still not certain she's not getting this situation taken care of while she's away.
Right, because...
amongst a ton of doctors.
You know, while I'm here.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see if you have any openings.
I'm just saying, like, it's because now he's told Midge, and then at the end of the episode, he tells his father. We don't see the words come out of his mouth, but he's sort of like, well, you know, I'm going to get married and blah, 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 this. And also, first of all, I don't think May is, like, 100% interested.
No! She didn't want to even call him her boyfriend.
Yeah. So he's really jumping the gun after not speaking to her, and it appears he gave Moishe a heart attack.
I'm having a hard time with this season.
Okay. Me too. There's some stuff about this episode that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But then we can move on to the other thing that I had to get up off the couch and walk around and file my nails because...
Oh, I thought you were doing that just for funsies.
Nope. I was so stressed. Midge sort of randomly via Gloria, one of the girls that works at the Wolford, gets a gig doing comedy for a Jackie Kennedy event.
Mm-hmm. A fundraiser for the presidency.
Yeah, okay. It's going so good. So good. And okay, here's my only argument is that it's very embarrassing in the moment. I'm not sure what kind of long-term repercussions this could possibly have. Do you know what I mean? It was like a random gig. Susie didn't get it for her. It doesn't really matter. What is Jackie Kennedy gonna, like, have a feud with this woman?
I'm tired of her biffing it.
Sure. Yes.
We didn't need to do this.
Yeah, 100%.
Because this makes Midge look stupid.
It does.
And Midge is not a stupid person.
Exactly.
And we've done this too many times now for her to continue to make this decision.
Especially in, like, you know, relatively important rooms. Like when she did it to Aaron Dark, to her friend from the cosmetics counter at her wedding. You know what I mean? Like that one is purely an accident because she didn't know she was pregnant, but it's still like, don't make jokes about that at someone's wedding.
Right. And then, I mean, the series opens with her giving that toast at her wedding. Yeah. And at the very end, she says there's shrimp in the egg rolls. Yeah. And that clearly is to get a rise, right? She's trying, but she is unseasoned.
Yeah.
She doesn't know that she wants to do this. So
also, that is a harmless joke. Because there's not really shrimp in the egg rolls. But it's like her friend was really pregnant. Yeah. And, you know, John Kennedy is really cheating on Jackie all the time.
Right. And I mean, even though Midge doesn't know that, but she knows that this story, because they tell her no dick jokes. Yeah. So
you have to keep it clean.
Yes. And she knew that this story was going to be unsavory for a bunch of upper crust ladies at a political fundraiser in 1960. She knew better. So and she was like, nope, story for another time. They're like, oh, come on, tell us. And she was like, no. And like
they do egg her on.
But she has control in that situation.
Yeah.
Or so she could, you know, make a sassy aside and then move it along.
Right.
She, in this moment, she's the professional. She knows what she's supposed to be doing. I mean, you saw me. I pulled my hood down.
Yep.
On my apparatus.
Also, she could have easily edited that joke to have his mother come in.
Right.
Because that's how we open the episode, is she's met Milo Ventimiglia, whose credit is just handsome man, in the park with Ethan, and they just sort of keep running into each other. And the whole time, first of all, he has this like foofy Pomeranian, and I was like, that's not that man's dog.
No.
That man does not own that dog. And so they like meet, and then they're like, oh, he's like, you want to go get coffee? And the coffee place is closed, and he's like, do you want to come to my place? I have an espresso machine. And she goes, and then obviously his wife shows up. And that's the story she decides to tell these people, Jackie Kennedy specifically, whose husband is constantly cheating on her. And she starts breaking down in the middle of the thing.
And everyone around her is crying.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. She's a stream of consciousness comic.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you're a good improver, which I am not, but you have this sense of mind, and she is smart enough to know to make that split-second edit.
That's the thing. You still need to know how to edit yourself, even if you're a stream of consciousness person. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So regardless, like I said, I can't imagine long-term consequences from this screw-up. No. Not like the Shy Baldwin, but I'm on your team. At a certain point, I need Midge to stop screwing up.
Yes. I'm fatigued.
Yeah.
So I can't decide if I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today or if this has just put me in a sour mood.
You've got 2 more things to do with me today.
I know. No, and I'm going to do it. And I know that we have one more, and I'm hopeful, and I still really love this show. This season has really, really put me through it. And I'm not having a good time.
Yeah, especially I think the biggest issue is knowing that we only have a 5th and final, and it will likely also only be 8 episodes. I'm sort of like, so there's a whole thing with Gilmore Girls where like before season 7, Amy Sherman Palladino and Daniel got fired, basically. And so a different showrunner did season 7. And so they didn't end it the way that Amy Sherman Palladino had planned it from minute 1.
Oh, no.
And so then when Netflix was like, come back for a day in the life and we'll like check in on these characters 10 plus years later, it was like 2017 when they did it, they gave her carte blanche and she ended it the way she wanted to back in the day. But the way she ended it doesn't make sense when Rory is 30. As opposed to when she's 21.
Oy.
And so I'm just sort of worried that she didn't actually have as mapped out a plan for this because she got burned before.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like we're kind of meandering. And if it's the kind of thing where if like they negotiated finally, like before they were filming this, you get 4 and 5 and that's it. I wonder if almost that was too much time.
Maybe.
And so we're box stepping, waiting to find out what's going on.
Maybe.
Because that is the kind of thing that's sort of frustrating me. And I'm just sort of like, what are we doing?
Right. Because
this season has really accomplished nothing.
Right. Because Rose and Miriam have the same conversation again after the magic show.
Okay, so that's where the title of the episode comes from. Alfie finally is getting a gig. And
he did great.
He did amazing. It was so fun. I think he's very, what did I say? Gideon Glick, I want to say.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. He's great. He has this show, All the Maisels Go. Even her brother and his wife, Astrid.
Yes.
Yeah. What is the brother's name? I always forget the brother's name.
Noah.
Noah, right. Noah and Astrid. They're really, I really like Astrid.
Me too.
Like how much she's taken to Judaism. She loves it so much. So they go. He does a great job. He, like, is making these, like, visions appear.
Yeah, I was kind of like...
I don't know. I dig it.
I thought it was neat, but I'm like, why the magic? You know what I like? I like magic. Don't get me wrong, but like, what do we do? Again, it's a part of the box stepping that I'm just kind of like, I don't know what we're doing here.
I do love that he finally got a show.
Yeah.
But again, it's like the second to last episode, so I'm sort of like, what's happening? Mm-hmm. So anyway, he ends up picking Rose out of the audience to, like, assist him, and then
because his, like, future vignette,
he's like, this might happen or not.
And she's in it.
Yeah. Because Abe is like, that looks just like you. So she goes up there, he basically hypnotizes her. She says a couple of semi, mean things about the grandkids, like their parents are too lenient, and so they're, like, hooligans, kind of. It's whatever. The kids are kids. And, he gets her all the way under and then makes her perform Miriam's set.
He said, do what your daughter does for a living.
Yeah. And
she does the exact set from The Wolford.
Yep. And Miriam's in the audience and she's like, oh no. And especially when it starts talking about Noah and Astrid, God, she's like,
so funny.
She's like, Noah, I am so sorry. Like, I've never been sorrier. And I feel bad for Astrid because she's trying so hard. And they just bring up Shira, his, like, girlfriend from high school or whatever. And I don't know. Astrid's so great.
Yeah.
There's no content. It'll be fine. But she makes jokes about how frequent or infrequent her parents are having sex and, like, all of this stuff. And then she comes out of it and she has no memory of what she's done. And so then, like you said, they have the same argument that they had before in the, like, street after the show. And it's just, okay, here's the other thing too, is I actually loved the moment when Rose was like, I'm not like you, I'm not a fighter.
Right.
And fine, don't be one. If that's not who you are, don't be one. I would be so much more delighted if she just was like, it's not for me, they're gonna ruin my life, fine, whatever. They are accosting Abe in the tobacco shop. Right. Saying, I know your grandkids' names. Even Chaim, even Noah's kid, who is not involved in this at all. And so it's just the sort of thing where, like, if Rose doesn't want to fight, I don't think Miriam should make her fight. Some people are not fighters. And if Rose is like, no, I've got to call it, then just fucking call it.
Right.
It's not imperative that everybody has their exact dream 100%.
Right. Well, and the fact that, because Rose even tries to put it on Midge, that what Midge does affects everybody. But in this scenario, it has nothing to do with Rose.
Yes. But she does also admit, because she's like, I don't really have a business anymore. And Miriam is like, because of me? And she's like, no, but I still can't do it.
But she's still, like, trying to make it like it's Midge's, like, part of it is Midge's fault. Yeah. And it's like, no, you stepped on other people's toes. This is on you, boo. Yeah. So stop throwing it at her.
Also, if you want to still do it, but you don't, like, you can't do it on your own. I mean, she is terrifying, but, like, hook up with the other Jewish one. Make a team with the other Jewish one.
There's such a large Jewish community in New York City.
In 1960?
Yes, it cannot be like feasible for one woman to do all the matchmaking.
Sure. Also, as much as I love Jackie Hoffman, what's her name? Maren Hinkle is a lot more outwardly appealing as a human person. I feel like you catch more flies with honey is all I'm saying. Yeah. So I don't know. That's sort of whatever. I don't know if Rose is going to really give up. I prefer shows with multiple types of female characters. And I'm not claiming the show doesn't have that, because they do. But I don't need Rose to turn herself into a carbon copy of Midge. Right. If she doesn't have the fight in her, she doesn't have the fight in her, and that's just as valid. Yeah. Because at this point, Midge has rubbed off on a lot of women. She's put the fight in Susie. She's put the fight in Imogene. She's putting fight in all these women that need it, but, like, some of them don't. And it's like, Shirley has a lot of fight in her. Astrid has a lot of fight in her. Rose can just be content.
Right. And we've already seen that she is not necessarily willing to be a fighter, because if she were, she would still be in Paris. They would have had that apartment in Paris. Yeah. and she'd be living her dream effectively. But she came back.
Any number of things. They'd still be in Paris. She'd still be involved with her family. You know, she would have kicked her stupid brother or cousin or whoever out of the top seat and been there. You know, she would have made Abe get his job at Columbia back. She would have done all these things if she were like that kind of fighter. And she's a kind of fighter, but not that kind of fighter. And I just want that to be enough. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to think what else. Oh, Nikki and Frank are back.
Yes.
And Midge, I actually like how it worked out because you were very anti, but she basically starts her verbal diarrhea like she does a lot and is talking about May and how there's like going to be another mouth to feed in her family and like all of this stuff. And Nikki and Frank are like, you want us to look into her? And she sort of was like, no, but I mean, sure. Like, what? Like, why not? Because, like, I don't know anything about her. Joel doesn't know anything about her. We need to know something about her. So, apparently they do. And it's too hot for Nikki and Frank.
And I was very much like, no, on both sides of it. Because one side I knew, like, it was too hot. This was, they were in over their heads. The other side of it, I can't decide if Nikki and Frank are somehow going to pull like a switcheroo, like it's all nice and whatever. And then Midge or Susie don't come through with something and they're going to be like, well, now I have to break your hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just business because they keep saying it's just business, but they approach it in a very familial way. And it just, I don't know what to do with them. And I like them so much.
So I would really prefer if they just were like the local friendly mob guys.
I would like that so much too.
Yeah.
I don't want, trust me, I don't want the turncoat.
Sure.
I don't want that at all. I want them just to be like, hey, your family. We'll take care of it, you know? I want that. So I'm just, but I'm so scared.
Me too. I don't think anything's going to come of it this season. If they do have a turn, it'll be in season 5 at some point. But basically just the fact that whatever May and her family are into is too hot for Nikki and Frank. And they're like, so we're just gonna, just don't even mention that we did anything. Like it's nothing. Nothing happened. We didn't do anything. And I think that's interesting because we all knew something was up with May and her parents, but now it appears they might be in like the Chinese mafia.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like a warring faction.
Yeah. So that's especially interesting. I just don't know what Joel is.
I don't know either.
Whatever. What else?
Well, Imogene seemed very at home in the dressing room at the titty bar.
And they were all hanging out and it was really cute. And yeah, I don't know. I liked that. I feel like they haven't really hit the stride with Imogene either. I feel like we should have been seeing more of her this season than we have been. But I mean, it's sort of whatever. In order to make up for the money that he lost, Archie put in a 56-piece order for Tupperware, and Midge is going to not put it in. And I'm like, put it in.
Yeah.
Archie still has a good job.
Yeah.
Put in the order for 56 Tupperwares.
She's, okay, for being in such dire straits as she is financially, I mean, girl, you got to take it where you can get it.
Take it.
You know? Just like the one time, be like, no. You know, if you want to make it seem like you're not desperate, just be like, no, I don't need that. They're like, no, I insist. Okay.
That's
you know what I mean?
It's like going out to dinner with your parents. You offer to pay as a gesture, and they say, of course not. And then you say, okay, cool. And you order another glass of wine.
Exactly. Or, you know, going out on a date. You like,
oh, no.
And they're like, oh my God, are you kidding? And, you know, but then if they're like, oh yeah, no, we totally split it. And then be like, well, I'm never going out with you ever again.
So it's whatever. The first date, I feel like, you pick up the first date. I feel like there was one more.
Susie finding the new comic. Well, Dinah.
Okay. Because Susie is all prepared to fire Dinah because she's
drama.
The nieces and nephews are there all the time. You know, she's got 2 boyfriends and they're all calling. She's crying at her desk a lot. She's not very professional, whatever. I'm like, you can't fire Dinah.
She gets shit done.
She got Midge's lucky dress back.
Yeah. And then my whole thing is the fact that she knows how to schedule Susie and Midge to be at the same place at the same time. No.
So there's this part in an early season of 30 Rock and they're like trying to get Tracy there on schedule and they have all done something different where like, Liz is like, well, I told him to get here at this time so that he'd be here at the actual right time. And Pete's like, well, I told him that it was like daylight savings or whatever and like did this. And then Kenneth is like, I turned all his clocks back 8 hours. And Liz is like, oh God, maybe we went too far. And he walks in and he goes, what the hell time is it? And they just are like, they start explaining it. He goes, y'all are a bunch of racists. It's like, it's super funny. And so it was giving me that vibe that Susie and Dinah and Midge are all sort of like, and then towards the end when Midge is like, well, now I'm adjusting for her adjustment. Is she readjusting for my adjustment to her adjustment? I don't know what time we're supposed to meet each other. Very funny. So yeah, Susie takes her out, I assume to somewhere in Harlem because they were having like chicken and waffles and collard greens and stuff. Oh my God, it looked amazing.
It really did.
And the plate that James was eating in the back with the mac and cheese.
Oh my God, it made me want to go home so bad.
I want to go, maybe let's get Four Rivers. Sometime this week.
Ooh.
Let's order Four Rivers.
Okay.
Okay. So, anywho, they go out to this restaurant that Dinah picks so that she like feels better about getting fired and doesn't come back to kill Susie as her excuse. And it turns out Dinah knew the whole time that she was trying to fire her and was like, well, you know, I may as well shoot my shot. And she basically is like, that's James and he's doing comedy in this restaurant and I think you should manage him. And it works out and she doesn't get fired. So you just can't fire Dinah. She's so good at her job.
Yeah, all you gotta do is tell her, like, girlie, you gotta cool it on the drama, you know?
Cut back to one boyfriend.
Yeah, and it's like, I know that, you know, I sleep here and you walked in on me without pants on, you know, but...
No pants or underwear.
Right. And the fact that Midge was like, so you get dressed completely on the top and then do the bottom? And Susie's like, yeah. And I mean, Susie's got her hat on. She's got her vest on.
It's the type of thing where, I don't remember where I saw it, but one time, it must have been TikTok or like an Instagram story or a video on Tumblr or something. And it was like, how do you get dressed? And the person got out of the shower and immediately put socks on. And I was like, that is lunacy.
I have a friend who starts with socks.
Lunacy.
Right. And they would, in the summertime, they would forget to put on underwear because they would go socks and then underwear. But in the summertime, because they would wear sandals without socks, they would then forget to put on underwear because they didn't start with socks. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I start with underwear.
Underwear. Bra if you need it.
Yeah.
Shirt and pants can go on in whatever order, but underwear first. What is socks first?
Yeah, I don't know.
I also just don't wear socks. I don't wear shoes that require socks. I don't wear socks. I don't like shoes and socks.
I have to for work.
Well, sure.
But yeah, other than that, especially down here. I mean, up in Minnesota, absolutely.
Sure, of course.
But no, down here, my Birks and my Sperry's all the time.
Ridiculous. Anyway, it was funny. I love that Susie is expanding. She's getting more stuff. Alfie, you know, completed his gig and everybody enjoyed it with the exception of the Maisels or the Weissmans, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I am hopeful going into the finale, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Also, Susie did, mention to Midge that it's hard for her to get booked because she can't tell people to go see her at the Wolford.
Right. And she found her like a 5-week gig in Croatia. And she'd have to fly back and forth. And
that's like an 8-hour flight.
Yeah, I don't.
You can't. She can't do it.
No.
I'm on her team about that.
No.
But I don't know. And then we saw Lenny Bruce is on the Gordon Ford show and he is playing Carnegie Hall.
You know, looking at things comparatively, Lenny is a fall down drunk. He is getting drunk and passing out in the street. He still ends up on TV. Midge busts her motherfucking ass off. Cannot get a win.
That's the thing that I keep saying where I'm like, I know that she wants to be a headliner, but like, why don't you open for Lenny?
Right. Why are you not calling in all of those favors and just be like, you know, work it to your advantage, girly.
So...
I don't know. I'm stressed.
So I do think, though, that was like basically almost the end of the episode. And I do think that she is going to reach out to Lenny.
I hope so.
To at least talk about something. He needs to apologize for berating her last week, for sure.
Yeah.
So, we're going to go watch the last episode and we'll be back.
Might be a little drunk when I come back because I might put some Baileys in the coffee.
I was going to say, it's 12:15, so.
Oh my God, daylight savings!